Sox post-game show coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me is the full CHGO White Sox crew. We got the CHGO White Sox beat writer, Vinnie Duber, in the yellow shirt, waving to you. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our, again, CHGO White Sox beat writer. The man in the middle, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader, being produced tonight by Stephen Nicholas, and you can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. Thanks for joining us as we continue towards the run towards 100 losses.
And I like how Victor and Fred have switched. Victor has done it like the last 2 times, and Fred just lets him because it's a community.
Well, and
Teamwork.
I guess
yes,
Fred is flipping because the White Sox won. Usually Fred's talking about the slow tumbleweed to 100 losses, but now we are on the fun run to 62 wins. The White Sox secure a win tonight, 6-4. A Brian Shaw save, savor it in, and the White Sox get their 54th win of the year. Thoughts?
Thoughts is that Victor points for bringing up Mo Sislak too, new face of the millennium. This game was boring, and I lost money. Well, I didn't lose money. I just did a no-sweat bet on our our great sponsors, DraftKings Sportsbook. On Wednesdays, no sweat bet, so I was like $9.62 or $9.35 to win almost $2,000. Luis Robert Jr. home run away from winning all that money and us getting a lot of beers. But I get that money back, and I'll bet it tomorrow. I guess the White Sox aren't playing, so I guess I'll bet on that NFL game. Ugh.
They sell beers every day, though, Herb.
I do.
Yeah.
Inches away from the Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah. I wish he was good at baseball.
Well, I mean, that was inches away from a homer. Still was a double. It was his 34th double.
Yeah.
Now he's got 34 doubles and 35 home runs. He's all right. There's one person on the team that's all right. Might be him and Elvis Andrus. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. A little table of contents for you. Where's this journey going to go? Are we just going to meander? Probably. But we're going to talk about the win. They could have lost 6 straight, but thankfully Brian Shaw has just enough grit, enough veteran toughness in that arm to just pitch every single day and getting a save tonight in a White Sox uniform. Very excited about that. Again, Sox win 6-4. I'm going to talk about Vinny's latest article about the White Sox rotation, especially looking forward towards 2024. Talked a bit about it with Dylan Cease pitching yesterday, but we got some comments today about Saturday with Michael Kopech possibly starting. We'll ask Vinny what he thinks of Pedro Grifal's pregame comments, and then we'll talk a little bit about Yoan Moncada and Elvis Andrus. Maybe a little bit about Andrew Vaughn, because those 3 have been on fire. Maybe it's just Kansas City. You know Kansas City well. I mean, it's a very lovely city. Maybe they're just excited to be in the, what's the nickname?
City of Fountains?
Yeah, City of Fountains, yeah.
Makes sense. That's why they have the fountains.
That's why.
Well, there you go. All right. So, I mean, is it just because the City of Fountains makes everyone so happy?
Well, I think, as you're going to bring up, they've been, this is a bit of a trend for these guys. They've been swinging a hot bat for a while now. You were giving us the stats of both Yoan Moncada over the last, about 2 weeks or so, Elvis Andrus over the last month or so. Believe it or not, there are some players on this White Sox team swinging some hot bats. 2 consecutive nights of both Vaughn and Moncada homering down there in always steamy Kansas City, Missouri. So, they're doing some hitting. Of course, it's a too little, a lot too late. But here the White Sox are doing a little bit of something. We talked about what the month of September is going to look like and what it's going to mean for 2024. And you got some guys that are going to need to show that they can get the job done if there's going to be any confidence that this team can do the bounce-back season that is going to be necessary next year. Moncada and Vaughn, corner infielders, they're not going anywhere. So to see them heat up and have some good health and some good results here down the stretch, that's about as much of a positive as you can ask for here at the end of this lost season.
And Elvis was put in because of the late scratch for Tim Anderson. But as Sean, you calculated the stats since like August 1st, he's been hitting. And I've still wanted him to be DFA'd more for, there's no reason for him to be playing anymore. Played some of the young players like Linning Sosa, bring up Rodriguez and let him play when Tim is out. But in the times that he has gotten a chance to play for the White Sox this late in the season, he's been hitting well. I think, a 4-hit game today or 3-hit game?
Yeah, 4 for 5.
Just a good, solid at-bats and doing very well with the bat. So he's taking advantage, trying to get another contract. Hopefully Chris Getz doesn't give it to him. Do you think that Chris Getz gets like a beer shower for his first win as a general manager today?
Do we think he's in Kansas City?
Oh, he has to be. There's no way. Like, why wouldn't you travel with the team and have the enjoyment of just being a general manager? I mean, didn't Rick do that all the time?
Not every road series, though.
Oh, no. Yeah. I want to chill.
He often was on the road, but not always. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's the head baseball man. So, yes, go and see what the team's
Mr.
doing in public, and then, toss over some tables when they don't play to your standard. And then today you go into the clubhouse, it's like, hey, guys, good win. And they just beer shower him to death because he's going back home to Kansas City, his beloved Kansas City.
I don't think they gave him a beer shower.
Okay.
You think so?
No.
Okay.
They probably don't even know who the guy is.
Have they talked to Chris Getz yet? Have they given him a beer shower?
Oscar Colas knows who he is.
I was going to say, there's a lot of these guys who very much know who he is.
He saw him in Birmingham last year for Project Birmingham.
Yeah, right. I mean, did any of these guys play with him? And Brian Shaw might have played with him at some point. They ever crossed paths?
Brian Shaw's
Elvis? He's been playing for
Probably.
15 years.
Elvis, Andrew. But no, because, when was Chris Getz in Texas?
He played versus him.
Not play with him, but played against him.
Oh, yeah, definitely played against him.
Then Brian Shaw definitely played against him.
Probably struck him out all the time.
Well,
Getz's last year was 14.
Yeah, and Brian Shaw pitched in Cleveland in 2013 and 2014.
There you go.
All right,
Big Cleveland, Kansas City, old AL Central foes, Chris Getz and Brian Shaw.
God, those matchups. I got to go find those highlights. But it was a win tonight. It didn't seem like the cleanest start. It felt like at any point they could have lost this game. Cut to Aaron Bummer giving up a home run. Cut to Touki Toussaint retrieving a ground ball and then throwing it into the outfield, not where it was supposed to go. Cut to Touki Toussaint delivering a pitch to home and Kyle Isbell just walking to second base. The White Sox just do not know how to hold on any runners. It's never a clean game with the White Sox. That's why they're 32 games under 500.
Have we declared one of these games as, man, that was a offensive masterpiece, defensive masterpiece? Everything was well on that game. I remember we tried to do that with the Cincinnati one, but Mike Kopech gave up 4 home runs in that game.
There's been about 2, maybe.
I think there was
that first Cub game. The first Cub game at Wrigley where Robert hit the game-winning home run. That was pretty good.
And the second one was turning into it.
The second one was about to be good. Yeah.
So those two. Yeah, those two.
It's been few and far between.
Because even like the Giolito and combined like one hitter, I don't think they fielded well or something. Or like they got like all of their runs in like one inning.
I can recall Pedro Grifol standing up there and telling us a couple times like, "Oh, finally an all-around good game for us," kind of thing. So I would say they've probably had 2 or 3, 4 or 5 maybe this season.
You're being generous with 4 or 5. Maybe 2.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Like I said, I can recall 2 or 3 moments then and then that Cub game.
We've been doing this for 2 seasons now. Is this our second season?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because last year I think that was a whole bit that we were doing too. I think they've played over nearly 162 times,
almost
300 plus games.
300 plus games, and one of them have been like perfect. So I don't know.
Well,
it's just
that's baseball too, in a way.
Hey, I mean,
Dodgers
less
got
than
pummeled
30
today, didn't
perfect,
they?
Yeah. And hey, thank you. I'm going to read that Lance Lynn quote now because I've just been dying for it. This is from Bill Plunkett from the Orange County Register. Lance Lynn on giving up 40 homers in a season. Go look up the Jason Hayward catch too. That saved the 41st home run from going out.
He almost gave up 4 homers today.
He almost gave up 4 homers today,
and none to Jake Berger, son of a bitch.
And none to Jake Berger, none to Luis Ariz, who also hits the hell out of Lance Lynn, giving him up to Joey Wendell. Yeah, and well, he's good. He's on MLB The Show. But Lance Lynn on giving up 40 homers in a season. I mean, once you go over 30, who gives a shit? You're just trying to make pitches. And hey,
same old Lance.
Bad pitch selection, bad execution. Yeah, same old Lance.
So in doing research for the story that you alluded to earlier that I wrote today, mentioning Kopech and talking about Cease as well. Michael Kopech does not lead He leads the majors in walks, or at least did earlier today. But I believe ranks 8th, tied for 8th in home runs coming into this evening's action. 2 of the only 7 people ahead of him started the year as his teammates, Lance Lynn and Lucas Giolito.
And then the one guy today who started for the Royals is ahead of him too, and Jordan Lyles, who I think is 2nd overall in the league in home runs given up.
No, not at 40 yet, though.
No, White Sox couldn't take too much advantage. I think he only got 1 off of him, right? The Vaughn home run?
Yeah, Vaughn, and then Robert missed by an inch, and you missed 1,000 beers by an inch. The Lance stuff is just funny at this point. He would have broke, if he stayed a White Sox, he would have broke the franchise record. Floyd Bannister had the most home runs in a season with 38. So, I mean, he gave up 38, 39, and 40 tonight. So just a banner day for Lance Lynn. I don't know. You look back at that trade deadline, pretty good that they traded Lance Lynn. Pretty smart that they traded Lucas Giolito. People are upset about Jake Berger, but I mean, they're pretty quick to write off Jake Eater. He's got at least like 5 years to at least try to make the major league team. I'll give him a chance. It just seems like the biggest regret is not trading Aaron Bummer because, oh man, he's been horrible.
Like we were talking earlier, like he's been bad, but he's been running into a little trouble because I think at the time his FIP wasn't close to his ERA and was a lot lower. And then he just gave up home run after home run. I don't know how many it's been now. It's like 4 or 5.
4 in his last 10.
It's been ridiculous. Like that was the thing where Townsend's like, at least don't give up home runs, and people are crushing him now. It's just been bad Aaron Bummer instead of bad luck Aaron Bummer when the ball's hit on the ground and the guys don't pick it up.
41 appearances before the trade deadline, a 6.69 ERA, a FIP of 238, but he then pitched after the trade deadline. His FIP is now over 6, and his ERA is well over 6.5. He's given up 4 home runs.
Finally,
it's not good.
Well, I mean, hey, we're going to talk. The focus, I think, this offseason is going to be on the starting rotation, right? But bullpen needs a lot of work too. I mean, Liam Hendricks is not going to pitch next year, whether he's under contract or not, right? And then all the guys they traded at the deadline. Graveman could have come back. Kelly could have come back. Middleton might have come back or I think Middleton was probably going to free agency. Mm-hmm. But, all those guys could have come back in some way or another to be back-end pieces for this team, whether you were happy with them or not. The experience and the ability to serve in the back end like that. Now, Santos is probably penciled in as the closer. He's in the middle of a rough stretch right now, though he was perfectly fine tonight. And then Bummer, who's probably the next guy on that depth chart, right? He'd be your setup man, so to speak, is having a pretty bad season. So who's thrown out of this bullpen next year? It seems like they're trotting Lane Ramsey out every day to try to be the next setup guy. But you need some more reliability back there, and I don't know where they're going to find it.
Brian Shaw. Yes.
Well, Brian Shaw is likely not going to be on the team next year.
Come on. Why are you? Don't put that evil on me, Vinnie Duber.
It would actually make sense to bring him back because it's relatively inexpensive. You wouldn't be paying him $8-9 million. Veteran minimum. Get Brian Shaw back here on this. Jordan Leisure.
Give him AJ says to remove that tattoo. Sorry.
No, that tattoo's pimp, man.
No, it's not.
Great.
You could also throw in Garrett Crochet. He's starting to rehab down in Birmingham. 3 up, 3 down, and thanks to White Sox Daily for always posting clips. First batter, his first 3 fastballs were 95. The rest were 96.
This was a relief appearance?
This was a relief appearance.
Interesting.
Because he's the 7th inning.
Because he wants to be a starter.
Yep.
And he hopes to be a starter. And guess what? The White Sox need starters. Mm-hmm. But again, if they do that, as we've talked about in the past, he's not going to be able to start the major league season as a major league starter. He would have to spend significant time, you would imagine, getting stretched out in the minor leagues. So I don't know if you can depend on him as a starter. He probably remains too valuable as a reliever. But here's the thing. Guys barely pitched here the last year or so, the last 2 years really. What do you do? Is he your closer? Like, do you just throw him out there as a really high leverage guy right away, right off the bat before you know, if he's able to do it after a year plus off? I mean,
they're looking for Bummer to give, multiple innings. We heard that. I mean, there's value in a multiple inning left-hander reliever. I mean,
sure, but who's gonna close out games for this team?
Groot.
It's tough. I just hope that
Why do you need two? Just a closer.
Well, there are innings before the closer. If you're saving Garrett Crochet and Aaron Bummer to throw an inning and a half, it means they're not going to be available the next day.
Yeah,
That's
and
fair.
we have a starter that doesn't go 5 innings often, 6 at all. So we're going to need the bullpen next year when Michael Kopech starts. But also with Chris Getz, I have very little faith in his, job to do his job next year. But I hope that he learned from Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn what not to do in the bullpen, signing these big-time contracts. Big-time closer, I got you. Get Liam Hendricks. But other than that, bring your guys like the Lane Ramseys of the world and have them pitch through their pitch lab, even if you believe it or not, but have them fail or succeed with people who are inexpensive. So you can spend your real money on more high-leverage people like the Liam Hendricks of the world, the starting pitchers of the world, instead of having $24 million in the back end of your bullpen right there. And there's like a gnat here, too, messing with me.
Go spend $50 million more to be in the Brandon Nimmo market than Andrew Benintendi. Sorry, drink. It's just the guy. Honestly, Mike Petriello of MLB's posting the fielding run value. That's FRV for you at home.
Ferv.
We're not doing outs above average anymore.
Ferv.
Outs above average.
OA is gone.
It's all out. It's a faux pas now. The new.
What about DERS? What about Doctors?
Defensive run saved.
Oh yeah.
Do we like Doctors or no?
Well, no, that's like on a site that's still an HTTP. We're on the HTTPSs. We're on the encryption websites. We're
can't
in the
move
new
too
age.
fast, man. Just get one.
Also,
and stay
notice
with
that
it.
his explanation for why we don't use the one acronym was just to answer me with more acronyms that I don't know what they stand for.
Well, it's an encryption on the website, Vin. I don't know.
Hey,
It's
Herb, to quote Homer Simpson, nerd.
Beep, bop, 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 beep, bop, bop, bop.
where was I?
Ferv.
But Kyle Schwarber's the worst defender by Ferv.
Okay.
-20. And then
-20.
Yeah, third in baseball.
I don't know what scale that's on, but it doesn't sound good.
Third in baseball is Andrew Benintendi and -14.
Third worst.
Third worst.
Who's second?
Wow.
I don't know.
Castellanos. I'm just going to say his teammate.
Okay, keep naming people.
Let me go with, since I mistaken him earlier, Kyle Isbell.
No.
Not him.
Okay. He's on the Nationals. Actually, I guess he's
Joey Meneses.
Tied for third, and there's a guy.
Brad
-19.
Wilkerson.
No. K-Bert Ruiz, and
I would never
-19.
got
And
The arcade game character?
then, sure. And then
down little
tied
squares.
for
Yeah.
maybe. And then tied for third is Martin Maldonado and Andrew Benintendi. The point is, though,
The catcher? Wow.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
The guy who we were saying made sense for the Sox earlier this year.
He is natural Sox.
we just got his buddy Corey Lee.
Yeah.
We just got
Right.
younger, better, faster, stronger Martin Maldonado, and his name's Corey Lee. But my point being, what they spent, I think less on Kyle Schwarber, and he hits 42 home runs. Go get something that's guaranteed. Go get something that is going to help your ball club. Like Frank Thomas is crying on the pregame. Okay, he wasn't crying, but he's saying they're answering fan questions, and the woman was like, "Why do the White Sox strike out so much?" And he was like, "Oh, well, now all the new age analytics are all worried about launch angle, and they're all worried about hitting home runs, and it's going away from the fundamentals and the technique." And it's like, well, no, because they do need to still work on launch angle because they lead the major league in ground ball rate. They hit the ball in the dirt like every single at bat. They also were vying for the least amount of walks in modern day baseball since 1900. Like, they need to walk more and they need to elevate the ball. The same stuff we were saying last year. Like, I don't know. It's frustrating because it doesn't seem like Chris Getz is going to be able to take this franchise forward because he's just like the Pez dispenser of the White Sox organization.
And this isn't necessarily a thing against Chris Getz. I don't think a top-notch general manager could turn this around in the time that they would want it to be turned around in 2024, because we just spoke about all the things that they need. And then if they get all those things, they still got to depend on the players on the field. And we'll get to Andrew Vaughn, Yoan Moncada, etc. But those guys are finally starting to hit in September where games don't count. Like, we need this earlier in the year and more consistently spread out through the 6 months. So, yes, the most seasoned general manager that you could name probably would have a hard time getting this White Sox team back to the AL Central next year. And Chris Getz is, as I said, he's the mouse swallowing the cat. He doesn't know what he's doing, and that's because he hasn't done it before. Now, he might just get lucky and just, have the ignorance not to know what is wrong and what is right and do just good things, but it's going to be hard for him to get this team right because Jerry's not going to be giving him all the money he needs to fix the starting rotation. And so if we're not going to be fixing the starting rotation, that's going to be strike one. We saw what the starting rotation did this year when they were poor and when the White Sox were doing badly. The team just fell off the table. If you don't have a good base of the starting rotation, your team is going to be bad.
Okay, and I just want to whiteboard this idea from Alex because I think I confused people with the Pez dispenser thing.
I got it.
Okay,
me too.
All right. Like
you have a stack of Pez.
Yeah.
Rick and Kenny go out, and so the next
Chris.
one up is Chris. I understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we can build off from Herb. The rotation. Will they have enough starting money to address the actual issues? And we can go into Vinnie's article from today at allchgo.com. You bring up Andrew Vaughn as well. We'll get to King of the Game in a second. We'll take a quick break. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. We'll talk a little bit more about this game. We'll talk about Vinnie's article and the White Sox rotation in 2024. And we'll talk about the guys turning it around and if there is any hope out there for Yoan Moncada, Elvis Andrus, in 2024 as a White Sox or Andrew Vaughn. Want to let you know, though, about getting your ducks in a row because Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram is having their reopening in Fox Lake, their grand reopening in Fox Lake. Flock in September 9th and celebrate our Get Ducked event with free prizes and get your chance to win $1,000. Plus, during Jeep Adventure Days, get employee pricing on all new 2023 Jeep Gladiator modes. The grand reopening of Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Fox Lake is only on September 9th, but our savings are all month long. So head over to their grand reopening on September 9th for their Get Ducked event. Go try to win $1,000 over at our friends at Ray CDJR in Fox Lake. And they've been serving the community since 1963. So find new roads with our friends over at Ray CDJR. Also want to let you know about our friends over at Splash Sports. Tomorrow is time for the NFL to return. And Herb, I know you're itching to win money.
Yep.
You're itching to try to find an edge. You're itching for a reason to watch the Lions take on the Chiefs. Why not enter a contest? CHGO has weekly Pick X and NFL Survivor contests for everyone to participate in for real money. Head to splashsports.com/CHGO. Link is in the description. And sign up, deposit cash, and get started. And it's just $10 to enter either. CHGO's weekly Pick X contests and CHGO's Survivor contests. The more enter, the larger the prize. So go over to splashsports.com/CHGO and sign up. We'll be running weekly contests all year long, so make sure to keep that link handy. And if you want to run your own contest, if you're tired of being the commissioner on leagues, chasing people down with none of the reward, you could sign up to be a commissioner right through our link and earn money for the contest you're already running with your friends and family. So head to splashsports.com/CHGO to join in. We'll have a different contest coming out. So we're stoked to compete with and against you all. And be sure to click our link in the description below. Again, splashsports.com/CHGO.
The Lions are playing in the season opening game?
Yeah, because people are hyped about the Lions.
People are hyped about the Lions.
People are hyped about the Lions.
He's the ghost of Joey Harrington back?
Yeah,
they're favored to win the division.
Yeah, people are just it's like they got the flashy thing from Men in Black, and they just erased their whole Lions history. No, it's the Lions. The Lions are going to Lions.
Okay.
That's going to happen.
Whether people are hyped about them or not, like, isn't there another team that is like people are? They know they're good that could play the Chiefs?
Not really.
Who's good these days? The Bengals?
The Bengals, but I don't know if they play. No, they probably do play them.
They could just have done Bengals lines. It could have been the John Kitna Bowl.
I know the Bears play the Chiefs like in week 3. They could have been this team that played the Chiefs on the ring night. But
they were the worst team in the league last year.
They're very, very excited about the Lions, and I get it. They were 9-8 last year, almost made the playoffs. Dan Campbell biting kneecaps and such. But The Lions. They're always going Lions, this whole damn thing. You know when the last time they won a playoff game, Sean? You don't, because you weren't alive. You?
I do.
You weren't alive either. Vinny, were you alive?
I think so, barely.
Yes.
What was it?
1991.
I was 1 year old.
And wasn't Scott Mitchell their quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe.
Come on.
Or Eric Kramer, one of the two.
Week 17, they play the Bengals, the Chiefs. So
In second to last game, okay.
I mean, it's New Year's Eve, so maybe that's why the Bengals.
Happy
Chiefs.
New Year.
It's the Bengals and the Chiefs. Anyways, go join our contest, folks. Yeah, how can you not be excited about Dan Campbell? I got their money line.
Because
I think they're going to win tomorrow.
Come on. Because no Kelsey?
Well, there's an early win.
Oh, okay.
Promo.
Oh, the 7 points up?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, I mean, if they score the first touchdown, yeah, they could win.
Okay. And no Chris Jones either for the Kansas City?
I'm not going to act like I know the Chiefs' injury report.
He's not
I know
injured.
Kelsey might not.
He's holding out for big-time money like Nick Bosa got today. This is turned to NFL post-game.
Yeah, we can
I
skip
don't know who any of these people are. You could be making up names. No clue.
Andrew
Yeah,
Vaughn.
Packers
I've heard of
suck,
Kelsey
Tom.
before. I know him.
Packers always suck.
Have you heard of Nick Bosa?
He's Joey Bosa's brother, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right. So, yeah, I mean, you're fine.
Yeah.
All right, let's.
And all those people, the Kumaros, the family, from Chicago.
Oh, Kumaros.
It's Bosa's dad. Bosa's dad is Bosa, and he married a Kumaro, his mom, and the Kumaros are from here. And some of them are connected.
Good for him.
Back in the day.
All right. Let's go to our king of the game. I just want to play the noise, honestly.
Presenting. Well, I didn't get the honk, so I'll have to go with the actual king of the game. Sir, his lordship, Andrew Vaughn. He scores, I like 2 runs. I like that you included 2 runs. I feel like runs scored. No one cares about that stat anymore. But it's a good
That's
one.
how you win.
Huh?
That's how you win.
It is. You can't win. You can't win without the runs.
And you know who would care about runs scored? Steven. Mr. Hustle. Mr. Hustle.
Once again, that's how you win.
You got to
Well, you
run
don't need to
across the
hustle to
plate.
score a run.
I don't know.
You could be like Bobby Witt Jr. last night and just walk home from third base after the balk.
That's true.
Yeah.
Andrew Vaughn today, 3 for 4, the home run, 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. Do we like the pick, or should Elvis Andrew have been the pick? Elvis Andrews.
No, Andrew Vaughn, he got his career high in home runs. He keeps on adding to that career high. He's starting to sting the ball. And while Elvis hit the ball 4 times and got hits, when you hit the ball over the fence, you're going to be the guy, especially if you got 2 other hits with it. A triple shy of the cycle today for Andrew Vaughn. I would love to see him do the cycle.
Yeah, that's like Benji Molina.
I mean, it's the perfect ballpark for him to try to do it, and too bad he won't be there until next year.
Yeah, we did get a follow from Andrew Vaughn's dad today on CHGO White Sox, and then he promptly unfollowed because I said that his son hustles really hard, but even though he hustles as much as he does, he hustles with all of his heart. He's got that TW. He is slow as a turtle. I mean, I think that if I know that people were pointing out the StatCast numbers of Grandal's actual speed and Vaughn's actual speed, and I think Vaughn's like 3 feet per second faster than Grandal. But if you were paying Grandal and Vaughn like $100,000 to run to first base, I think Grandal beats him in a race.
That's an interesting theory.
Very much.
I don't know. I don't think Grandal ever has an incentive to actually give it his full go.
But
I
also,
think if he had incentive to give
Did
it
you
his
see him
full
try to
go,
score
he
from
beats
second
Vaughn.
base?
Have you ever seen Vaughn run? I mean, look at the play that we saw today.
Yes, I mean.
yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I seen
Remember
both
when he
of them
tried
were
to
slow.
score from second base?
Yeah, and I wanted Eddie Rodriguez fired immediately because he was out from here to third base. But also add 10 years to Andrew Vaughn. He's going to get slower. That's going to get worse.
Yeah,
not
Vaughn
better.
hasn't had multiple leg and back surgeries that we know of.
And he's still slow as a turtle.
Hey,
he's like Paul Konerko.
If Vaughn hits 30 home runs a year, which he won't this year, I don't care how fast he is.
Well, so AJ brings up if Vaughn makes it to 25 homers, I'll feel slightly better about the
Burger trade?
I did want to look up how many, because it always has to come back to 2005. 1999 was Paul Konerko's first year. He hit 24 homers. I mean, can Andrew Vaughn hit 24 homers this year?
This year, yeah.
In 19?
There's 20-plus games left. He's been on fire lately. Yeah. I believe he can run into 6 more home runs.
I mean, is there any way he can salvage this? Last year he was at a 750 OPS He had 28 doubles, 17 homers. Right now he's at 25 doubles, and 26 doubles and 19 homers. So, I mean, he's going to probably hit 20 homers. I mean, you okay with a 30 and 25 season from Andrew Vaughn? Like, does it still feel like it's a sour year from him, even though he's going to hit those milestones?
It's kind of like, you remember at the end of the year, I forgot who it was who pitched at the end of the year, got hurt. It was Davis Martin, his last start, and it blew up his ERA. Yes. And so if you look at the stats, you're like, man, Davis Martin had a sucky year. But we knew that Davis Martin had a pretty good year in his rookie year last year. That's what it'll feel with Andrew Vaughn. If he gets to 25 and 30 doubles, you'll be like, oh, man, look at those. 25 home runs, 30 doubles? What are we complaining about? Andrew Vaughn's a good young player. Like, we saw when they came, and it wasn't really in the games that the White Sox needed them to come. So I'll know every White Sox fan that saw the games is like, yeah, he did get those numbers and achieved them, but he got them at the end of the year, type of like an Albert Bell type of thing back in 1998 when he was just stacking up home runs at the games where the White Sox were way out of it.
But that's something that we wanted to see from him, because we saw in 2021 he hit that mark at August 15th or whatever. I think he had the diving play in the outfield in that Yankee series, and it seems like it zapped his power. We saw last year, too, the end of the season, that it zapped his power. Be great if he finished with, 6 homers in the month of September and showed some pop.
Good point.
Alex mentions that Vaughn needs to get the slug up, at least ISO numbers, when you subtract batting average from slug. Right now, Vaughn has a 179 ISO. Last year was 158. So, I mean, he's
above average.
It's up 20 points. I mean, I don't know if he's using a lighter bat. I think someone commented that yesterday. I know that we hold Vaughn to higher standards, but I mean, he's been clear that he's a core. I mean, we heard Jerry Reinsdorf talk about the core and them trading away Berger. It seems like it's obviously going to be Jimenez, Robert, Vaughn, Moncada, at least next year, as the core. I think the interesting thing is Tim Anderson. I mean, he was scratched today, was leading off, but I mean, Elvis is now hitting 377 since August. Tim still can't find his power. I mean, would you rather pay Tim Anderson $12 million or $14 million and maybe decline that option and then pay Elvis Andrus to be your shortstop?
No.
What about pay Elvis Andrus to be your second baseman?
No.
They did that already.
And then Colson Montgomery's your shortstop.
Well, Colson Montgomery's not going to be ready to be the shortstop.
Just throwing out stuff.
I got you. No. I mean, the second the White Sox decline that offer, somebody's going to pick Tim up for a very inexpensive deal, and he's going to explode. Like, I would love to have Tim next year in his walk year where he's dedicated to just playing baseball and clearing his head from this year. If he sucks and he's not as good next year, wipe your hands and say, Tim, it's been real, man. Go ahead and check out free agency. But as soon as he gets DFA'd or not tendered an offer by the White Sox, if it happens this year, it's over. He's going to be a good player, and I'm going to be pissed that the White Sox didn't give him $14 million for 1 year. And in the market of shortstops, that's a steal right now. Even though Tim Anderson's not good right now, I feel a bounce back coming back next year.
Every bet that Chris Getz is going to make this offseason is going to be a risky one, right? Whether it's the bet to stick with a guy or the bet to go get somebody else. They don't have a lot of certainty really anywhere on the roster with the exception of Luis Robert Jr. That, though, is a bet where the upside, the Tim Anderson bet, is an upside where, like Herb just said, if they bet $14 million on Tim Anderson to be Tim Anderson and they get Tim Anderson, it is still a relative bargain to what that would cost, what that kind of production from that kind of position would cost them if they got it any other way. I understand Colson Montgomery's on the way, but he's not going to be here next year. Tim Anderson, you just keep him. Not only are you just bridging that position, right? If you've made up your mind and you said Colson Montgomery opening day 2025, we've got your seat waiting for you. Tim Anderson could go out and hit 330 for you next year, and he could do it at a price that would be much less than what you were paying for that on the open market.
They were early to bring Andrew Vaughn up. They were possibly a little early to bring Oscar Colas up.
Andrew Vaughn was a college player, the best bat in college. Oscar Colas played professionally in Japan. Colson Montgomery, they got out of high school.
And he's
good point.
Got a OBP above 400,
but
plays his position well.
But my point being is that I think their expectation is different from what it was with Vaughn. They drafted Vaughn and they said, we're going to see you in 2 years. That's not me quoting anybody. I'm just saying, like, you just showed in the Pac-12 batting the way you batted that we're going to see you in 2 years. And I think Colas, the expectation was the same way from everybody. I mean, everybody had that expectation that inside or outside the organization that this guy is more advanced than your regular prospect. They took Colson Montgomery out of high school, and it doesn't mean he's not worthy of the ranking that he's at right now. He absolutely is. He's been very productive, and he's been extraordinarily reviewed by everybody that goes there down to watch him. But he was drafted as a teenager, and I think that you've got the expectation is that you're not going to be like, all right, you better get ready because year after next you're going to be the shortstop. They've got Tim Anderson. They can keep Tim Anderson around next year. It might not win them the division, but it would do the job of having a player with a positive track record of production at the major league level, and it would fill that gap with somebody that's not just a warm body until Montgomery is ready the next season. And
the point you brought up, Sean, about bringing up Andrew Vaughn early, bringing up Oscar Colas early, I hope they would learn from that those were rushed, and I'll put those in quotes because Andrew Vaughn had the full year somewhere else in Schaumburg in 2020, whatever you say about that, he was ready to play.
He was forced into a position. I don't know if he was rushed to the level.
Yeah, and so they would say, okay, we've seen these two guys, and they've had struggles early when they got brought up, and maybe they found water, and maybe Andrew Vaughn's finding his level right now and about to take off. But that's years into his major league career. Maybe they take an extra step and an extra beat with Colson Montgomery, knowing that the team's not ready to win, knowing that Colson Montgomery is still relatively young in his major league career and his life. So taking an extra 2024, maybe even not even having him as the 2025 starting shortstop is a good idea, just to have him just earn it a little extra. And then also manipulation of his service time because, Major League Baseball teams got to be themselves.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that. I mean, what I was going to say was you're talking right now, this team, they rushed Andrew Vaughn, they rushed Oscar Colas. It wasn't long before that where the complaint from fans on social media was, why are they taking so long with Eloy Jimenez? Why are they taking so long with Luis Robert Jr.? Why are they taking so long with Kopech and Cease? I mean, there was a time where the complaint was, people pounding the table saying, those guys are ready, bring them here. And now the complaint is those two guys, oh my God, they rushed him so much, they didn't handle that right. Again, there might be a larger trend of them not just hitting the arrow in the middle of the bullseye, which would probably be preferred, but the point being that I think the state of the team is dictating something to do with this as well. They brought Andrew Vaughn up because they thought he could help them win because they were ready to win. And I think next year, if you've got Tim Anderson, why does Colson Montgomery need to be here? If this team is mostly coming back, what's the confidence level that you have in them winning next year? I'm not sure Colson Montgomery is the key to them jumping from where they are now to a playoff team.
I'm not trying to advocate for Colson to be on the 2024 team, and plus, with possibly Tim on the roster, and obviously Elvis Andrus on the roster, it's going to be a crowded shortstop room.
Elvis Andrus. This was the Elvis Andrus sequel season.
He's coming back.
There's no threequel.
Come on, man.
There's no threequel.
Don't put that in the air. Don't put it in the atmosphere. It's gonna happen if you put it in the atmosphere. I can't.
I've already seen it.
I can't do it again.
Why are you blaming me? I've already seen it, Herb. I would love, Vinnie.
I can't do it again.
With the precious access that you have, if you get the chance to talk to Chris Getz in the next week or so, ask him, hey, what do you think?
In the next week, they're in Detroit.
Okay, well, next 2 weeks.
Next week. Next week.
Next chance you get to talk to Chris Getz. I would love, hey, how many people are even going to be talking to Chris Getz now at this point? You mean 4 people are going to be showing up to Guaranteed Rate Field, right? I mean, you're going to have a chance to throw 4 or 5 questions at Chris Getz. Would love one to be about Elvis Andrus. Hey, Chris, what do you think about Elvis Andrus returning in 2024?
Do you think that Chris is going to do the whole powwow with the beat writers before most home series?
It's a good question. To each their own policy, I would imagine. I think that Rick showed the benefit of that in, maintaining a flow of information and maintaining a, We're not hiding anything from anybody, or we want the fans through the press to be informed. I can say this though, off of the experience of last year, after the All-Star break, Rick Hahn's doing of that declined precipitously, right? Mm-hmm. And so, we saw kind of the same thing happen this year, where early in the season he was on that schedule, and that was great. And then once we got to the run up to the trade deadline, it was kind of silence until the trade deadline, when obviously he had to talk a lot because of all the moves that they made. And then last year, after the trade deadline, I don't remember it being quite so regular, so to speak. So I don't know if Chris will do the same thing or not. I think him being from within the organization, he might have seen the benefit of that, though, and would continue something similar. We'll see.
You might have to wait till the end of the season to ask him about Elvis Andrus. All right.
That's what you want me to do.
Please, no.
You want me to dedicate the limited time that I have with the
that's
general
the first
manager
question too. It's like,
to asking if Elvis is going to be
he's
back.
like, any questions? Like, yeah, Elvis Andrus coming back next year? And he just ends the press conference and walks out.
My dear friend Bruce Levine, I wouldn't be surprised if he used this first question to ask about Elvis Andrus. He's a veteran. Come on. I mean, you got to pay respect to the veterans. Hey, is Elvis Andrus going to be on the 2024 team? Yes.
No.
Why are you saying that? Just because he's been hitting well lately?
Yeah, I mean, hey, since August 1st, I was asking, and we were all asking around the trade deadline, why is he going to be on the team? And here he is in the past 25 games with a batting average above 377, an OPS above 950. I mean, he's a second-half king. I mean, what's there not to love? I mean,
sign him in.
Come on,
August 2nd, 2024. Then.
I mean, they signed him like the last 2 weeks of it was a late signing, Elvis Andrus.
Yeah,
of the offseason.
Yeah,
So,
the A's. Oh, you mean
this year?
This past offseason, they signed him after camp started. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So I mean, hey, I mean, there's not gonna be a rush for Elvis Andrus. Hey, let's see all those spots fill out, and he'll find his way back. I just got a feeling. I don't know. We'll take a break. We'll let you know about Yoan Moncada. He's definitely going to be back in 2023. 2024. Vinnie talked about the rotation in 2024. We got a quote from Pedro Grifol pregame about who's going to be pitching Saturday. So we'll delve into that topic. Make sure, again, you're hitting the thumbs up button if you're hanging out with us. And shout out to the Shirtless Wonder. I don't know if he's watching. Maybe? Are those his lights, or is it above?
It's his lights.
Our
right
lights
there.
are on. You can't see out
Those
there.
are his lights, yeah, with the, I think, up there. He probably is waving at us when we can't see him.
He's got an Arizona house next spring training. Wait. I mean, we have PHNX. We have producers already in the Phoenix
going.
area.
He's going to be in his whole hotel. But,
but
me and you, Sean.
we could do the Airbnb. I mean, Vinnie could stay with us at the Shirtless Wonder's house.
I camp out in the desert during spring training.
You're doing Burning Man? Your own your own Burning Man in the Tempe.
I was trying to give an outdoorsy vibe, not a Vision Quest vibe.
more of a Bear Grylls vibe.
Yeah, not quite that. I'm not going to be eating catching lizards and grilling them or anything like that. But
great time to stay out in Arizona during spring training.
Do you guys know that Jesus actually spent his time out in the 40 days in the desert? He was in Tempe. All right, whatever. It was a bad joke. All right.
I was trying to think about that.
No, I don't think.
I hope he went to El Pollo Supremo. That's a fantastic spot in Tempe.
I don't know if it was around. All right, let's tell you.
I'm sure he can make his own El Pollo Supremo.
He can turn water into El Pollo Supremo.
Yeah, I mean, he's wasting wine and stuff. He could be eating tacos and burritos.
Pool party and a barbecue at Shirtless Guy's house in spring.
You got and Steven's there is like, hey, can I come? Because he's a golfer too.
I've been saying that in the background over here. You guys are just leaving me out of this. I want to come.
You gotta bring the roadcaster.
Me and
with
Shirtless Wonder just tanning out in the sun. It's gonna be great.
There you go. All right, and you'll be drinking beer. Herb, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a 312 from Goose Island.
CHGO supported by Goose Island Beer Company. Chicago's beer since 1988. Oh, you canned it?
Yeah. There's a lot of waterfalls in this commercial breaks.
There are. I was really hoping for a Ray and then Goose consecutive, going from duck to goose. Could have said duck, duck, goose.
Oh.
You need next ad break needs to be 2 Rays and a Goose Island one. Let's get the folks on that. So it could literally be duck, duck, goose.
Friday show? We doing a show Friday?
No, we don't.
We don't.
So Sunday show.
Sunday
show. Yeah,
Ray, Goose, Duck, Goose.
It's Ray, Goose, King of the Game.
Perfect.
So it's
then
Duck,
it should
Goose.
be-
It's Duck, Goose.
Yeah, it should be go Duck, Goose, Horn, because it's King of the Game.
and then Sir
Okay.
Goosington can return.
And he's a goose, yeah.
Okay. All right. Beer. Goose Island Beer Company's beer roster includes Herb's finished 312. You could also get a full one to yourself that's unopened, and you could drink it. There's also the Beer Hug
Vinnie's shoulder.
family. You got the Hazy IPA. You got the Neon IPA. You got the Juicy IPA, and you even got the Tropical IPA. There you go. You also have the Oktoberfest because it's September.
That's when Oktoberfest is.
It is.
over in Germany.
Is it really?
Yeah,
It is. And
gotta-
this weekend, too, I believe.
it's going.
There's an Oktoberfest in the city. Probably multiple ones.
They should really, figure that out because it's October.
I know, but I think they do it in September. I don't know the
Why?
history of it, but they do it in September. That's the correct thing to do.
There's
It's like a season. It's a festival. It stretches for time.
Oh yeah,
Put your beer in a
Oktoberfest,
big
okay.
stein and
Yeah.
drink it.
You'd think it'd be like a month-long festival though.
It's like
It's
like
the month of October.
it's like when the people get excited about the pumpkin spice latte thing. That starts like now. The same thing with Oktoberfest.
PSL season coincides with
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And there's also the full pocket pills from our friends over at Goose Island. Grab an ultra fresh brewery exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
Alex says he's too high. Alex, if you're really too high, just sniff some peppercorns or bite it. You'll come down.
Okay. You could do
It's true.
the Die Hard thing where you take your shoes off and walk on the carpet with your bare knuckles and make fists with your toes.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, but if he's too high, not too like on weed. He's not on.
That's your thing.
He's not on PCP.
Oh, PCP. You doing PCPs on airplanes?
This is too much abbreviations. This is just
All right.
all abbreviations. This has been the acronym podcast.
There's
He's
no-
saying PSL. You're saying PCP. It's all so many abbreviations.
I'm gonna drive home
FRD.
today on the DSLD, yeah, or DLSD. DeSable Lakeshore Drive.
Sean, who else are we sponsored by?
Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our
Steven
friends
wants to
at
go
Shady
home.
Rays have you covered with the warm weather ahead with premium shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers most of the same protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they tell us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. You don't love your Shady Rays, you can exchange it for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Final sponsor is our friends over at Game Time. Reading ads shouldn't be stressful, and neither should be buying tickets to your favorite events. So use our friends over at Game Time. It's the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all these sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Go see Cake while they're in town.
Oh, those tickets are back up today.
Oh, boy. But they have killer deals on last-minute tickets, and their best price guarantee means you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for all the fun you'll have at the Cake Show, at the Salt Shed. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section in a row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So, hey, maybe buy your tickets now if you're just getting floor tickets to Cake, and then you could just wait to see someone else get a price for lower, and then you can hit up Game Time.
I'm thinking of I'm going with the last minute. I think I'm going to go with the last minute on Sunday.
And
Driving home from here after the game and be like, oh, how much are they?
Or tomorrow, like Pearl Jam's back in town. They had a concert the other day. They're going to have one tomorrow. Wait until the last minute. Get you some PJ tickets.
there you go. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time.
More
Download the Game Time app.
acronyms, Herb.
I got another one. It's more of a code, less of an acronym. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Vinnie got a brand new article up at ALLCITY talking about the 2024 pitching needs and a little bit of cloudiness on who's going to be pitching for the White Sox this weekend. An off day tomorrow. Join us at 5?
Yep.
5 for our off day show. Friday, Mike Clevenger is going to pitch for the Sox. But on Saturday, it's TBD. ESPN lists Michael Kopech, but Daryl Van Schouwen, who is in Kansas City, notes that the starter is TBD for Saturday in Detroit. And what Pedro Grifol said on the topic was, we're still in the process of figuring out what we're going to do. Why? That's going to stay internal, end quote. Not a ton of insight to what the back and forth was. I don't know if Pedro's asking himself a rhetorical question. Why? That's going to stay internal, knowing that someone's going to ask him. But what did you make of this back and forth, Vinny? Because you also brought up the quote that, they're not thinking of moving Michael to the bullpen. So what do you make of Pedro's playing his cards close to his chest here?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's just speculation. We're going to have to wait to see what actually happens on Saturday. You might get some insight on Friday when that series starts in Detroit. But, I can't help but be reminded of the whole, we have no interest in experimenting with Jake Berger at second base, only for, you go down the road and there he is playing second base. Who knows what is the best for Michael Kopech right now? What we have heard from Pedro is that there is a desire, obviously, for the team to get together with the player and try to figure out the mental side of this game right now. And we can all tell it's very obvious that the emotional part of the game, the mental side of the game, is contributing to the frustration for Michael Kopech on a pretty much every start basis at this point. He's a guy who you can tell is getting upset when things don't go his way early, and very often this season things have not gone his way early. His emotions get the best of him, and he says after the game that he's frustrated. He told us the other day on Sunday after he only got 5 outs, he cannot begin to describe the frustration that he's dealing with how poorly he's performed this season. When you're saying stuff like that, obviously you're being overwhelmed. We're not hearing that kind of thing from Dylan Cease. Disappointment and what the results are, sure, but he's not talking about the overwhelming frustration that he's dealing with out on the mound that is contributing to what's going wrong for him this season. That has been the case with Kopech. And so Pedro was asked recently, is there any thought being given to, hey, why don't you just let this guy take a break? Why don't you just let this guy, sit out, whether it's one go-round or the rest of the year at this point. It's not very long, and they said, we haven't had those discussions yet. We haven't thought about that. Maybe they've thought about it since, and I'm not saying that it took a question from a reporter to make them think about it, but perhaps it has gotten to the point where that is a consideration. I certainly don't think that you would make the switch of turning him into a bullpen pitcher with 20 games left. That doesn't seem like a thing you would do. That being said, Pedro has been the one over and over again to say that this is the better time for evaluation than spring training would be. Would there be a thought to that versus throwing him into the fire on opening day next year if they were to go that way? I just can't help but look at what that rotation looks like for next year and say, if they were going to take the step, which everybody has been asking for all season long, of putting him in the bullpen, then you got 4 holes in the starting rotation that you've got to fill. Now, granted, the argument there is that Michael Kopech is not helping you by filling one of those spots right now. So, sure, there's a lot of questions to this. There's a lot of questions to everything. I think, the way I ended that post from today was, here's a list of all the questions that Chris Getz has to ask himself going into this offseason. What is Dylan Cease? What is Michael Kopech? Is Cease your top-of-the-rotation pitcher and you want to fill in behind him? Is Cease not performing well enough to have proved to you that he is the ace of this staff, and you need to go get somebody to put ahead of him at the top of the rotation? Do you still believe Michael Kopech can be a top-of-the-rotation pitcher? Or are you going to take the pressure off him completely and put him at the back of the rotation next year? Or is he not a starting pitcher at all? There's so many questions that Chris Getz has to figure out an answer to, and Can he? Are those questions answerable until you actually get to next season? What is Jerry Reinsdorf, as you brought out, going to allow him to do from a budget standpoint to go and address those problems? And to what degree are they going to address those problems? The need right now for starting pitching on this team moving into 2024 is dire, in my opinion. There are at least 3 spots that you need to fill, and I don't think anybody from the minor league system has shown that they're going to be ready to take that baton on opening day. Certainly, Davis Martin is not from a recovery standpoint, and even the guys that they just promoted to AAA, Christian Mena, Nick Nastrini, not exactly like they were blowing guys away at AA. And also, are they going to have enough time at AAA under their belts that they get a shot at this in spring training? To me, Touki Toussaint, though he was very good today, and Jesse Schultens, who was not very good the other day when they lost 12-1, have not really impressed on a level that I would be confident in saying, here's the ball, go make 32 starts next year. So it is a problem area, to say the least, and I don't know. I mean, and I don't know how it's going to be fixed. I don't know how it's going to be addressed. Michael Kopech, the story, obviously, for his 2023 has been a bad one. It's not yet over, because now we have this situation that might be looming this weekend that would see another sentence thrown onto the end of it.
I would just explore all options with Michael Kopech, including maybe trading him away if you can get a starter that is major league ready. Some team has to look at Michael Kopech and say, he's got it. He's got all the things that we need, but the mental is off. We can get him in our building and we can get him fixed. The White Sox are just not doing this, that, and the other the correct way. I would say that he just have to do something else that you've been doing with him, and he has to do like the whole thing where Chris Getz said they're going to be checking on dudes to make sure they're doing their off-season program, like have constant just constant checkups with Michael. Hey, man, are you doing this, that, and the other right? We need you to be mentally focused because we know your pitches are fine. You could develop another pitch. Got it. But right now, your problem is getting through the games. And as Vinnie just said, like he's admitting that he's overwhelmed in these starts. 5 walks in an inning and a third. That's unsustainable. You can't have that. And if he's saying and he's admitting that he's already overwhelmed, we could already see that on the field. But him saying that and verbalizing that to the press tells me that maybe this is too much. Maybe a fresh start for him might be the spot. It's going to be hard to trade Michael Kopech because the ERA is up there by 6, but he has a live arm that people are salivating over. And maybe somebody out there can say, I want that guy here in our building. We'll give you this guy who is a AAA guy, maybe ready for a starting rotation role. Because next year, even if Michael Kopech comes back, like Vinnie said, that's 3.5 spots you have to fill because he barely goes 5 innings every time he goes out there. So you need to go with the bullpen anyway. So he might be more of a detriment than actually helping the team next year. So it might be it for Michael Kopech for me if I'm Chris Getz to see him pitching the way he has and not knowing a solution for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine if Kopech's their 5th starter and they give it a shot in 2024, but I think the biggest question out of the ones that you listed is just how much are they going to be allowed to spend? Because if it's not a legit number, it doesn't matter if Kopech's their 2nd pitcher, it doesn't matter if he's their 5th pitcher, because they're not going to have good enough people in that building, regardless if they don't go out and spend money. Like, if they don't go and get Aaron Nola or whoever, like they're just not going to have enough legit MLB arms to be taken seriously.
Right. I mean, you said good enough. Like, I'm just not even seeing anybody who can actually do that job right now that is going to be on the team next year that you know is going to be on the team next year.
There's not even a Jordan Lyles out there who's like
eating innings.
Sure, but like that, to your point, like that's a guy who you're not going to get the numbers, but he's reliable that he's going to go make the start, right? I mean, hey, the last guy to make 200 innings for the White Sox in a single season was James Shields. The numbers weren't pretty, but he went out there every single day.
Ate those innings.
And a great nickname, too. What was it?
Wago G.
Wago G. Great.
Big game.
Wago Grande, big game.
Okay, I gotcha. Some names that you mentioned, Vinny, bringing up for 2024. Nick Nastrini didn't have a great start. He had his first start in Charlotte today. I think he walked 5. Not great. But his first AAA start, he struck out 9. So that's pretty decent. Nastrini, I know, is a little bit more advanced than Christian Mena, who's also in AAA now. But this is from Foolish Bailey. He did some stat line scouting for some minor leaguers, and this was 20-year-olds in AA with 100 or more strikeouts in a AA season. Gio Gonzalez had the most as a 20-year-old in 2006. Chris Tillman second in 2008. Gio had 166. Tillman had 154. Phil Hughes in 2006
These
had
are some names.
138.
Bring me back.
And with 136th in fourth place, Christian Mena. So all those guys are actual names, dudes. So, I mean, Christian Mena, while he is very young, is very raw. He's 20 years old pitching in AAA. Like, I mean, he is knocking on the doorstep, and, you know, he is just one more step from possibly being in the White Sox rotation. So, I mean, there's some intrigue, I would say, in those two arms. So we'll see what Mena and Nastrini can do. But I mean, if either of those guys are taking up a rotation spot to start the season in 2024, they're screwed.
Right. That's what I was just going to say is, like, if you say one of those guys, you're penciling one of those guys in to start 30 games for you, are you winning the AL Central?
No. And, like, I mean, we can look
and they
at
could be great. Who knows? Right. But I'm just saying, like, that from a dependability, reliability standpoint, to set yourself up for to do what you want to do in 2024, they could be great, but they don't offer any reliability at all.
And I think we could look at the other side of town right now and just see what Javier Assad and Jordan Wicks have done for the Cubs. Their numbers as starters this season: 56 and 2/3, 47 hits allowed, 16 walks, 14 earned runs, 43 Ks, 2.22 ERA. Those guys were homegrown arms that have kind of come up through the middle of the season and started starting games late in the year after Drew Smiley, who, you know, again signed to be a guy who can get you through April and May. Like, he did his job, and then those guys did the rest. So maybe Nastrini and Mena can be your Assad and Wicks, but you got to get somebody to, again, be a legit starter. Final thing I wanted to bring up was Yoan Moncada. Yo hit a homer today, and he's been on fire in the past couple of games. Moncada, and I think the most intriguing thing is actually a better right-handed hitter this year. Moncada since August 9th has an OPS above 950. It seems like the back is doing a little bit better, and I just wanted to point out the run value, batter run value, BRV, for Moncada as a right-handed hitter. You could see in 2019, we all remember 2019 was a great year for Yoan Moncada, a 6.6 batter run value as a right-handed hitter. In 2023, he's above 1 and hit a homer today, so that run value is going to be positive with today's performance. We could see in 2021, 2022, and 2020, it was a negative BRV for Moncada. His career numbers as a righty, as a right-handed hitter, is a 712 OPS. Not great, but he's a better right-handed hitter this year. Now his OPS is above 712 in 2023. So, I mean, maybe if there's any sign for Yoan Moncada, it's that, you know, we know he could be such a good left-handed hitter, and we really haven't seen that right-handed prowess since 2019. Seems like maybe that's back for you. Maybe his back's feeling better. I know
that's what it is. I mean, not only did he explain that to us fairly recently, but I mean, all you got to do is just think back of this guy's history since that 2019 season. He's just been dogged by injuries, pretty much constantly. Whether it was the COVID, whether it was kind of just the consistent, you know, parade of baseball injuries, right? Ooh, my back. Ooh, my oblique. Ooh, my, you know, whatever. This guy was never healthy enough to compete the way that he wanted to compete. And then this year, the back has basically been there the entire time. He's finally feeling like himself, and it probably should be no surprise that he's hitting more like he thinks he can hit. It's a small sample size, obviously, but again, stay healthy. I mean, that's really been the storyline of the last few years for the White Sox. These guys stay healthy, they look pretty impressive. When these guys don't stay healthy, they very much don't.
Bring his own pillow on the road. Bring his own bed on the road. Something so keep his back all good, because golly, if this is the guy can turn this from this year to 2024, will we be making $24 million? God bless. That will lift the White Sox up because we know the defense plays, but if he can hit right-handed like this, and we know the lefty power has been there, that'll be good for the White Sox, especially if he's like the number 2 hitter, which he should be because he gets on base usually when his back's good. And it'll strike some fear into these pitchers if you got Yoan Moncada hitting behind a rejuvenated Tim Anderson and then in front of a great Luis Robert Jr.
You seem tired, though, so let's wrap this. That's going to do it for
tired.
the CHGO White Sox postgame show. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. Make sure you're hitting the thumbs up button. We appreciate everyone hanging with us. Maybe it is just a mirage for Moncada, but it would be great if we saw Yo-Yo bounce back. It'd be great if we saw, Elvis Andrus on this team in 2024.
If you saw Yo-Yo bounce back, did you do that on purpose?
No. Because Yo-Yos do that? Yeah. Okay.
Walking the dog?
Join us more.
Cat's cradle.
Can you guys bring a yo-yo tomorrow? We got an off-day show at 5
I don't own a
p.m.
yo-yo.
I don't know.
I think it's worth it. We could devote 5 minutes to us trying to do yo-yo tricks. Join us at 5 p.m. when we do yo-yo tricks tomorrow. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him
Got a whole
at Vinnie Duber.
off-season to fill, Sean. I don't know if we want to
Bust out the yo-yo
burn that
yet.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our
Do skip it
CHGO
tomorrow.
White Sox community leader. What?
Do skip it tomorrow.
Well, I could do skip it.
Okay.
I'm agile, and I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Steve and Nicholas for producing the show. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.